Today's guest is Caitlin Pawlowski, a YouTube creator who's been on YouTube for almost 12 years and has done something that a lot of creators are terrified to do, pivot their channel. And she's done it multiple times, even when it meant walking away from what was working. She spent years creating luxury fashion content and then switched to a more personal niche, and then went hard into commentary, hit 100,000 subscribers, and realized that success without alignment feels really empty.
I remember a specific point where I was like, this is what I wanted, but I feel so anxious and highly strung and like on the verge. There were periods through it where I was like, something doesn't feel right. This doesn't feel quite right anymore.
In this conversation, we break down what it really feels like to pivot when you don't have it figured out yet, why she chose to make these pivots, and why she left her YouTube 100,000 silver play button unopened in the box for 4 months after getting it, and how having support, aka me, through the uncertainty and change of her pivot made all the difference.
I looked at my phone and I had hit 100,000 and I felt no different. I don't know, I just felt strangely like numb to it. Even when the plaque came, I didn't even open it for like 3 or 4 months. Like it sat in the box unopened.
If you've ever felt misaligned with your content or you're afraid to pivot because you don't know what's next, then this conversation is for you. I'm Erika Vieira, a YouTube strategist and coach who's worked with nearly 2,500 female YouTube creators over the last decade. And what I've learned is this: the difference between spinning your wheels and actually growing on YouTube is not luck. It's strategy. And that's what this show is about. Real conversations with real creators about what it really takes to make YouTube work for you. If you want to learn more about how I work with high-achieving women entrepreneurs, business owners, and creatives like Caitlin, as well as access to my free live YouTube workshop, the links are in the description below. Class is in session. Let's talk to Caitlin. You've been on YouTube for almost 8 years now. Take me back to February of 2017 when you uploaded your first video.
I don't know if 2017 was the videos about fashion. I feel like I had so many of my old videos privated because I actually started just playing around with makeup, as I think a lot of people did.
I don't think so. This is the oldest one that I see 8 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
So you had more before that.
Yeah, just like messing around.
So when officially were you first on YouTube then?
I think maybe when I was 19 years old, yeah. But it was just like the odd video here and there for fun.
How old are you now, like 30?
32. So
you're
that
32.
was like 13 years ago. So but maybe around that point was when I started to take it semi-seriously, I suppose.
So what made you decide to hop onto YouTube?
I was really falling in love with the creative process of makeup and playing with makeup. And it was something that I didn't really have anybody to talk to about in my real life. And at the time, YouTube was still kind of in its early days, and it was obviously the beauty community was growing. And that was how I found a nice little community of people to talk about beauty with and to enjoy makeup. And then it moved over to fashion a few years later. And I think it's because, again, I met some people online and I met some people in different cities around Australia who were talking about fashion online, and that was an interest of mine as well. And I thought, yeah, maybe I should pivot and talk about fashion.
Yeah, and I was pivoting from makeup because you were going to school, or did you go to school to be a makeup artist?
So it's funny. That's what I think when I was about 19, I got my first, I was working in makeup. I was freelancing. And I don't know if it's through my YouTube channel, partly probably because I had such a love for it. So we have a store called Mecca here in Australia, and I was in there like every week looking at new makeup. And yeah, that's how I ended up actually getting my first job. They were opening a new store and they wanted a manager for that store. And I had never been a manager before. And I basically left makeup school and I was in this management role. And it was, kind of cool.
That's what got you onto YouTube.
Yeah, I was making YouTube videos, I think, around that time. But then obviously when I started, I was working there full time. I was still making videos, but yeah, it was not consistently. It was, and just for fun.
Let's talk about your first of many pivots. I think that's going to be the theme of this interview.
Okay.
So that first pivot, which we don't have existence of because we don't see the videos prior to that first pivot, right?
Mm.
So all we see here is this video on the Louis Vuitton luggage case. That was the pivot into the luxury fashion community.
I think, I didn't have that many subscribers when I made that first pivot. Like I didn't even consider it a pivot because I think at the time I had maybe like 1,000, 2,000 subscribers. And so I started talking about luxury fashion. I became friends with people in the community and in real life who had an interest in designer fashion. And then I, around the same time, signed up for your first ever bootcamp. And that's when I started to take it seriously. I think before then, I think there was even a conversation you and I had potentially, because at one point I wasn't even monetizing my videos. That's how that's how I wasn't taking it seriously at all. I was not even monetizing it. I remember you saying, Kaylin, like, what are you doing? Why are you monetizing your videos?
So then you had joined the bootcamp. And then I do remember that was years ago. That was 2018. Because that's the first year that I had my boot camp. And I had a couple of different boot camps that year. I can't remember which one. You were definitely part of it. And then I do remember you there and then being deep into the luxury fashion community. What was your goal then at that time with creating content within that community?
I don't know when exactly I thought about this, but I think back then there became a point where I genuinely thought I wanted to be this huge luxury fashion influencer, the whole 9 yards, fashion styling, runways, designer fashion, that whole thing. And it was, again, I don't remember when you would have said this to me because you've said so many things to me over the last 8 years. But it was one of those moments where you said, look, because I live in a small city. I live in Australia. Australia doesn't really have a huge designer fashion scene. We have Zimmerman, we have other brands, but not like the Chanel, the Louis Vuitton. And you kind of said, if you really want to take this seriously, would you jump and move to New York? Would you move to Paris? Would you move to London? Would you get in these circles? And I quickly realized that wasn't for me. I think in hindsight, looking back, then that was one of my other pivots, which we can talk about. I realized that I was using that channel as a way to fuel somewhat of an unhealthy shopping habit. And I'd go so far as to say somewhat of an unhealthy addiction. And I think because I was making money from it, it was like helping me fund these things that I bought. And it was just a bit of a vicious cycle, really, I think.
I actually do remember saying that. And I think part of the issue is that you wanted to venture a little bit into fashion as well. And you would say things like, I see all these other people, they do these shop with me, they go to the stores. I want to do a little bit of fashion, but the seasons are different. I just threw it out there. I remember you saying things like, I really love to travel. It's like, okay, but people do things all the time. They move. And that's why I remember bringing that up to you. There is a little bit of an issue, you being in Australia. You won't be necessarily in the same season everybody else. And I do remember that discussion.
I remember even trying to fit in with your season, and it would be, I'm not good with Fahrenheit Celsius, but it would be like the middle of summer and I'd be dripping sweat. And then I'd try to put on all these wintry clothes.
I know. I remember that too.
Yeah.
I was like, this is not sustainable for you at all. Either you move or we figure something out with fashion. And I remember you just being, it didn't make sense. You mentioned how you felt like in retrospect, creating that kind of content was actually fueling an unhealthy, you could say, addiction. What did creating that content though give you at that time?
A few things, I think. I think it gave me, obviously, the community element, the almost validation that how I was spending was okay. Because when you're surrounded online, and also then that trickled over into my real life as well, because, I'd travel interstate and I'd meet some of these people, would hang out, and I'd meet subscribers who also shopped a lot. When you kind of surround yourself with people like that, and that's predominantly the content that you consume online, you kind of think that it's okay for you. And again, maybe it is okay for some people, but I think it wasn't for me. But I was trying to I was telling myself it was because I was
You're like normalizing it.
yeah, and I think I was using it to fill voids and things that I didn't really realize until I got probably further into my late 20s and realized that it was something that wasn't healthy.
And then, so looking back, who were you as a person during that luxury fashion era versus who you are now?
I think it would probably have been like a pillar of my personality. I would have considered shopping and labels and fashion, probably I'd say more than a hobby. I felt like it was a pillar of my personality, because it was also something that, yeah, like not only had I built this online identity around it, that then seeped into my real life. I still have an interest in fashion to some degree. I still like beautiful things. I still like pretty things, but it's not like it doesn't have me in the same chokehold that it did. And it's not necessarily something I feel like I need to feel okay. And when I took the time to assess my life and build up the other pillars in my life, I realized that I didn't need that. I didn't need that anymore. I didn't need to be creating content like that and being in that space to the same degree that I once was.
When then did you start feeling that being in that luxury space was not serving you anymore?
I'm really bad with timelines, but I remember there was a video I did, and maybe it was around COVID, but I made just a passing comment, and it was an insert in the video. It wasn't even, I didn't even think about it. Like I didn't take a second thought to think it would mean anything, but I spoke about this void that I was feeling that was kind of growing. And I just was feeling this void. I don't even remember really what I said about it. I just kind of threw it out in passing comment. And the response was quite, surprising to me. Because people resonated with that. And I'm not sure if it was before or after that. Maybe it was after I then came out with a video basically saying that I was just unfollowing. I think the title of the video was like, I'm unfollowing like 200 influencers or something like that. I don't even remember.
That was the first time that you publicly talked. I do remember you had joined the boot camp and then you came to me for coaching. I think around this time when you were like, something's off. I remember us talking about this. You need to say something on your channel. You need to say something.
It's just such a strange thing that you can find yourself in. I mean, maybe it's also an age thing, but you know, when you kind of in this space really heavily online, because I mean, I think it's still a thing, but back then as well, like, I mean, the communities that I've spent time in and the age that I wasn't watching TV. I wasn't watching anything, you know, like YouTube was basically what I was, how I consumed media. Like I'd have these internet friendships or these acquaintances with these people, or some of them would just be people that were like these huge luxury fashion influencers or just fashion influencers in general. And I just, I thought, oh gosh, like I feel like I'm kind of turning my back on this community, but it's not about them. It's about me and my stuff. And I just felt like I needed to and wanted to see what it would feel like, because I kind of realized I couldn't really stop shopping to the degree that I was while still consuming excessive amounts of content and just having that appear on my feed and every time I open my phone. And yeah.
So there's a disconnect between how you were wanting to live your life and the persona that you were presenting to the world.
Yeah, I felt like there was more of me, but it was just being swallowed up by this, because it became something that I would use a lot of my spare time on, you know, like I'd be using all of my spare time online shopping, looking for something for a video, looking to something to buy, to show people, or looking for things to talk about in a video. You know, every time I'd go overseas or every time I'd go interstate, the first thing I do would be in these stores. And it was somewhat life consuming to some degree, because I think it can end up being a huge part of your life if you let it, just like I suppose anything.
Your content is, for a lot of people, it is a big part of your life. The amount of energy and time that it takes to plan and put together a video, a piece of content, especially if it's twice a week. I know there's periods of time where you're doing 2 a week. It does become, especially, if you're talking about a certain topic, in order for that content to do well, and it has to be authentic. And then that's like authentic. That's not what you're doing. Almost what you experience, your content fueled this experience that you're having offline that you realize in retrospect maybe wasn't the healthiest. But you almost used the content as a way to validate this type of unhealthy behavior.
I also just had a thought that I think around during COVID, when we had all those lockdowns, like, right, I'm not really going anywhere. Nobody's going anywhere, but I just had to continue. I felt like I had to continue posting about luxury fashion and homey or like cozy, things that you would wear at home or and trying to make it work in this world that was so disconnected from what we were experiencing. And at that point, I was also having this wake up call, as I think a lot of people were, like, there's more to life than this. Like, what am I doing? And there was nothing more at the time that I wanted was to go out, spend time with friends and travel. And I think, again, a lot of people had this realization that there was more to life than maybe what they were spending their energy focusing on.
So you're saying because of that, you felt like you had a hard time creating content about the luxury space?
Yeah, maybe it was a melting pot of all of these things. And yeah, just feeling like a lot of areas of my life weren't how I wanted them to be. My dating life being one of them. And I was using shopping to make me feel better about that.
Walk us through what happened in that moment where you made that real hard pivot. Because I do know when you came back to me after the bootcamp years later, you said, hey, I want to work with you one-on-one because I'm going through this transition on my YouTube channel. Can you help me with that? That's actually where you did those videos on unfollowing people, but you were almost afraid to go fully all in and ditch that existing niche. Do you remember that and how you're feeling about that?
Well, yeah, I think it's because that was also somewhat part of my identity. And it's like I felt like I was letting down and disappointing this community of people that I had built. Because it's like I was going from being obsessed, this whole thing is just, oh my God. I remember I had a tagline of like, it's a disease, but in a good way, which is like really quite ironic when you think back.
Yeah.
It was talking about how great it was and how amazing these things were. So then literally doing a 180 and being like, okay, so look, this isn't okay for me anymore. I realize I have a problem, a spending problem, a shopping problem that's not serving me, that's kind of to my detriment. And I think it took a lot of people off guard, as it probably would. And I mean, there was mixed feelings about it, I think, from people. I got comments saying that people were in support of me and felt the same way. But then equally, I got comments from people saying that I was being too much and I disappointed them, and it wasn't that deep. Yeah, it was an interesting time.
So then you waffled back and forth between experimenting with and creating new videos that almost talked about this idea of finding purpose. I think that was your first step into that direction of talking about things that were deeper. I know we've gotten to know each other very well over the years, but you are a very deep philosophical thinking person. And I think that there was a point where you're like, okay, you experimented with these videos that were a little bit deeper, but then you're still holding on to that identity of luxury products and brands. But then there was a point where you said, I'm fully done with luxury. I'm going to go all in into this next niche. And that really became the social commentary niche. And I'm going to show that here. Walk us through what happened at that point.
There had already been a lot that I talked about within the shopping addiction space. And I also think that I was letting maybe some of the comments and the commentary surrounding my content get to me a little bit. I was like, oh, maybe I am being too much. Maybe this is too much to share. Maybe this is a little bit too much. I don't regret moving on from talking about the shopping addiction and that kind of overspending, because I think at that time when I was talking about it, I was genuinely going through it. Like I was still in the pitfalls of it. I then kind of switched it up and was still talking a little bit about luxury, a little bit about the shopping addictions, a little bit about life.
This first pivot, it was away from, this was 2 years ago. I remember this. It was away from really talking about luxury and more into your own personal self. Because remember these videos about the therapy and the shopping addiction and birth control and your anxiety. Remember that it became very personal here.
Yeah. And then it switched to commentary.
Do you remember this video, Caitlin? The social media has brainwashed us.
I think that was the one that I was like, oh, right. Okay. So I'm onto something with this. And it kind of tied into what I had spoken about with unfollowing influencers and realizing that I had, curated this life online in which I was constantly viewing other people's lives and how it was feel in the comparison trap. And when I created that, I mean, I don't even think it was in focus or something was wrong with the sound. It wasn't the best video, but it really did quite well. And then I think that's when I thought, okay, maybe there's something here with this whole, because I think now as well, more than ever, there's a lot of people talking about these kinds of things, of the comparison trap, the social media bubble, the influencer bubble. I think it's growing in popularity for sure. And yet I thought maybe there's something here in which I could help other people who maybe have felt how I was feeling, develop a little bit more of a healthier view around social media and maybe look at it through a different lens.
And then that's what happened here. That started. And I think you did sleep hacks for women. So you were still doing some commentary. At that point, it wasn't like, oh, let me go all in commentary. I think that's the first commentary video you did. And it did do really, really well. And then you were still talking about personal things. Then you went into commentary later on. Social media, influencers.
Yeah. I mean, look, that's when they started to kind of hit with people. The normal, I mean, I was still talking about shopping addiction, but yeah, influencers, social media, influencer culture, and still with a touch of the shopping stuff, because that was still really quite an important, and probably even now I look back and it was still quite a big part of my life. And I think it did have some long lasting effects on me, and it's still something I was talking about at the time.
Yeah, you're talking about the shopping addiction. You did that for a little while, actually, like for a year, where it was commentary and then mainly the shopping addiction. See, a lot of shopping addiction type videos. So then you switched from the shopping addiction right here. You see making some changes to the full blown commentary. Talk about this pivot right here, because at that point do you remember how many subscribers that you had at that point? And which is a year ago.
I think I had, was it 50 or 60,000 maybe?
It was like 50.
50, yeah.
You had just hit 50, I remember, when you came back to me, because we've worked periodically over the years. You're like, gosh, like I cannot seem to get past 50 effing subscribers. Remember that? I remember you're like, I can't get past this. And you were at 50 subs for like years.
Yeah. And I think, I mean, it's easy to say that in hindsight, but I definitely was, like, I'd be lying if I said that wasn't important to me. I think everybody who comes online wants one of those plaques, and they want to say that they make YouTube videos and that they have 100,000 or however many. Like, it's for some reason it's that number that makes you feel like, oh, I am legitimately doing this.
Yeah, I'm a legit YouTuber.
But I think, looking back, it's easy to say this, but I don't think that's what it is anymore for me personally. But anyway, wanting to get to 100,000 at the time was really important to me. And I was looking at what was working, what was sticking, and what also felt like what was something I felt like I could talk about. And it was also that experience of the comparison trap, social media. I also think at the time I was looking for a new challenge, and I wanted to challenge myself. And that's kind of in that video, I remember talking about making some changes. I talked about I wanted to challenge myself to make my videos longer, to make them more high quality, to make them better researched. Because at the time before that, really, a lot of the time I would just kind of wake up and throw on a camera, and it was easier to do it. And it took a lot less hours. Yeah, interestingly wanted to make it harder for myself and more challenging. And that's when I announced that.
And you're like, I'm going to work harder. It was a very, I think, a very intentional change that you wanted to do. And because if you're really, really honest with yourself, there is that desire and need to be validated through the numbers with all the work and energy you put into your YouTube channel. And I think that's where you're at. I want to get to 100,000. I want to feel that feeling of what it's like to have that plaque and accomplish that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it sounds nicer to say that you don't care about those things, but I think most people who put anything out into the world care about how it's received or how well it does, or maybe how many people it touches or helps, or I think that's a huge part of it. And I think to say it's not is maybe a bit of a lie to myself, I think.
Yeah. So let's talk about the commentary era. Are you ready to talk about that? Is that wine? Or is that vodka? What was appealing about commentary at first?
I've always loved people watching. I've always loved, like, I go out and I love to watch people. I love to sit and just watch everybody, look around. I love psychology. I love human behavior. It's always been really fascinating to me, even still now. So that was really appealing. On top of, as well, I think how I was feeling about social media and about how it had made, or how, I don't know if it's how it made me feel. Maybe I let it make me feel that way. Maybe it's a bit of both. And I felt like I wanted to be a voice in that space to bring back a little bit of a reality, because I had also seen behind the curtain as well. Like, I'd been in it enough to see things, to be around things, to hear things. And I think there was a lot that I wanted to talk about to make people aware that it's not all what you think it is. It's not this amazing thing all the time. It's a lot of the time it's not exactly reality and real life for a lot of people. And it's a lot of it's smoke and mirrors. And I wanted to bring back a bit of reality, I think.
Yeah. Were there aspects of being in that community and creating that type of content that you genuinely enjoyed and liked?
Yeah, I think there were parts of it where I felt good to know that I was helping other people maybe feel less of that comparison trap and maybe look at their own life a bit differently, because I think one of the worst things you can do is spend time thinking that the grass is greener or that life is better and living your life through strangers or through influencers online. And I think that's something that women in their 20s and 30s can feel, even though, our brains are fully developed. Not, I think about young kids would be feeling that as well and growing up in that headspace. And I liked areas of that. I liked knowing that I felt like I was helping people see how it really is and what certain elements I like.
So if as I'm looking at a lot of these videos, I mean, they did quite well. We're looking at 230,000 views, 212,000 views, 338,000, 351,000. Like, how did it feel to start seeing those numbers much more consistently?
It was actually insane. It was insane. And I remember there was one specific time where my views were just going crazy. And I mean, the comment, like every time I'd check my phone, there was just handfuls of comments from people that I'd never seen. There was, my AdSense was just insane. It was insane. It was really quite a peek into how a lot of these commentary channels make insane amounts of money. And yeah, it's just, I remember sitting in it and thinking, wow, like, this is what I wanted. This is what I wanted. But then I remember a specific point where I was like, this is what I wanted, but I feel so anxious and highly strung and like on the verge. But also there were periods through it where I was like, something doesn't feel right. Like, the more I was doing it and I was second guessing, and I would lie awake or I would have moments throughout the day and I'd feel a bit, I'd feel like this little niggle of like, this doesn't feel quite right anymore. I've always felt, and I always tried to kind of be as nuanced as I could and also try to be as kind as I could. And, you know, I think there was one thing that you also suggested at one point, and I liked that suggestion. Would you still say these things if that person that you're talking about was standing right in front of you?
Like, that's the filter you use every time.
Yeah. And I would use that every time, but it still just wouldn't feel right. I felt increasingly uncomfortable with, and I think it's also the comments that, yeah, there was just a lot of, you know, piling on of certain people, that was making me feel.
And the people you were talking about.
Yeah. So really I was inviting it, I suppose, in some way, wasn't I? I was inviting it and engaging in it, I suppose.
Why keep doing it?
I think I was still torn. There was a few reasons, and this is where I'm going to be disgustingly honest. I still was like, there was multiple points where I was like, I felt like I was clinging on to a ledge, and I was like, I'm almost there. I just want to get to 100,000. I just want to get to 100,000, you know? And there was that other voice in my head that was, and I would literally eat, like, I was being eaten alive by this. You know, I would journal about it, and my brain, it'd be like I'd have these two little, you know, versions of me on my shoulders.
Yeah.
Like, oh, but, you know, think about the people that are feeling awful about their lives and wanting a dose of reality and wanting to break their relationship with unhealthy social media consumption. But then I had that other part of me that was like, you're literally talking about people online and it just feels icky. Is basically, I mean, that's as simple as I can say it, really. It just felt icky. And I also think at the time I was just running on this little hamster wheel because, again, I'd put myself in this position of, I want to create higher quality videos and I want to create longer videos, that it was taking so much more of my time that I felt like I didn't even have the time to think, okay, well, if I don't do this, what else am I going to create online? Because I still want to create online. I still love creating online. What else? And I felt like I hadn't even given myself a second to breathe and actually think, what am I doing? Like, what am I actually doing?
Okay, so then you do hit 100,000 subscribers. And what's really interesting is that it took you almost, I want to say, I don't know, 6, 7 years to get to 50,000. And then it took you just 1 year to get to 100,000.
Yeah.
So you set out what you wanted to do.
Yeah, I think that's probably when I thought, wow, this is how it's a legitimate, successful career for a lot of people. Like, look at this. It's insane. Yeah.
What happened when you hit that 100,000?
I remember getting messages from people being like, oh, like, are you going to have like a little timer set up? Like, are you going to watch it happen? And I remember by the time I got those messages, I woke up because obviously the time difference, and I looked at my phone and I had hit 100,000 and I felt no different. If not, I almost felt like, I don't know, I just felt strangely like numb to it. And even when the plaque came, I didn't even open it for like 3 or 4 months. Like, it sat in the box unopened. And it's so funny because for so many years I thought about what that would feel like when I finally opened it. Like, it was this magical thing that was going to make me feel amazing. And I left it. And I didn't even want to open it, which is interesting psychologically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What made you finally open it 4 months later?
I was going away for a month and I thought I probably shouldn't leave this.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Yes. And I literally opened it the day before I left. So I didn't even get time to like walk past it and think, wow, this thing, you know, I just like, oh yeah, opened it. Wow, here it is. And then off I flew the next day.
So you finally got what you wanted.
And
then you just didn't feel anything.
To realize, I finally got what I wanted, but was it what I really wanted, or was it just what the like ego self of me wanted, the ego part of me wanted? I also think there's this like really interesting thing, and I've spoken to other creators who feel the same way on various platforms. Like, you think for some reason when you hit 100K, it's like a legitimate thing and you're going to have all these brands just like knocking down your door. And literally nothing's different, really. Nothing feels different other than you may get, lovely people in your community congratulating you, which is obviously feels nice. And maybe you might get some balloons if somebody in your or if you organize them for yourself or whatever, or somebody gets them for you. Somebody got me flowers and I was like, that's so lovely. It's like I was more excited about the flowers. Yeah.
Than the flower.
Yeah, I just wouldn't open it, which is so funny. I think because if I opened it, it would really hit me that how I got there wasn't maybe the way I should have got there, with this overwhelming sense of it doesn't feel right. It doesn't feel right.
When did it start to feel wrong?
Wrong. See, it's interesting. Now I realize it probably literally within the first couple of months, it didn't feel wrong, but I was questioning. And I guess I didn't think anything about anything more of it because I literally question everything, Erika. I question everything.
Yes.
So it didn't necessarily feel wrong, but it was this question that was lingering. And I was like, but I just kind of sat with it and I left it. And then it got to the point where I left it and then would try to debate it. And then I would ignore it, debate it, and then it would just become this overwhelming gnawing at me that this really wasn't right. I remember even people, and this is where you realize, this is when I was looking for people in my real life to tell me. I was looking at, for you, people in my real life, my loved ones, my family, my friends, and they would all assure me, it's fine. It's fine. There would even be videos where I'd be like, right, so go to minute 40, this particular TikTok right here, this woman that's being shown. I feel like that's horrible. I feel like that's really horrible that I'm showing that. And I'd be like, it's literally fine, Caitlin. It's really not that big of a deal. But I was like, no, it still just doesn't. But again, I was looking outwardly. I was like, right, well, I've surveyed all of these people in my life and they're telling me it's fine. So I'm the outlier. Let's just ignore it and push on. And looking back, you never do that. If you're looking outward for people to tell you what's wrong or what's right, you need to look in yourself and actually listen to your own voice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Why not just get off YouTube?
That's a great question. I have tried, I've taken breaks,
Mm-hmm.
but I've never really wanted to get off YouTube fully. I've taken a few breaks, sure. But getting off of it, no, I don't want to.
Mm-hmm.
It's always something that I've enjoyed having in my life, as much as it also has caused me great anxiety and great stress. But, a lot of things, a lot of great things also, nothing's ever. But it's the community. It's genuinely the people that I've been able to meet. And I know that may sound silly, but there are moments that I will probably never forget or just always remember of when I've met people. And it just has made me so happy when I meet these people in real life, or when I stumble across them in my real life. Or I've even made friends. I've made friends who live in my city. They were like, hey, this is kind of weird, but I watch you on YouTube. Do you want to meet up? And then I meet up and I'm like, oh, we get along. We end up being friends. And that's such a lovely feeling. I love it. I truly, it's the reason I stay on, and I want to stay on, because where else and how else can you have access to so many different people, of all walks of life, all around the world? And for someone who lives in the small little city, that is amazing. I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's true. I love YouTube, but the other part of it is I want it to be there in a way that it helps your life, because I see YouTube as an incredible opportunity to expand your message and expand your impact on people. I think it's the best tool possible, but you also don't want it to hurt the creator that's doing it. And the interesting part of it is that your intention, and to give you credit with the videos themselves, the message and the mission was always there, is to help people with maybe who have either shopping addictions or social media addictions, or bring light to problems. But the interesting thing, and I know you've talked about this in your videos and we've had conversations about this, is that in order for you as a creator to create this type of content, it required you to do the very thing you're telling people not to do, which is to scroll on TikTok Morning, noon, and night.
Ironically, that was a blind spot that I really didn't see.
You're like,
until I was in it. Having to scroll day in and day out. Like there would be moments where because, I'd spend hours and hours. And at one point I was looking for a research assistant, and then that never went anywhere because I thought, well, I'm still going to have to probably look at things. And from a financial standpoint, it doesn't make sense. Yeah. I mean, I just remember having to scroll to the point where my eyes and my brain just felt so mushy, and I would just be like waiting. Like it was almost like when you're playing a slot machine, just there's got to be there's some video here of someone doing something insane or something crazy or something outlandish. And I just have to find it. And then I'd be like, oh my gosh, like what am I doing? Like is this what I want to be doing really with my time? Really? No. And yeah, funnily, I don't know if this is just a timing thing, but I think going back to the community thing, I just had a thought. The people that I still meet even now, they're more from the old days of when I was talking about things that were positive and maybe not so much positive with the unhealthy spending, but just more light or fun. Even like within the last year when I met people, they were like, oh, I've been around since those days. Or, oh gosh, I'm so glad that I thought you might be completely anti anything nice. And yeah, it's interesting. Like I haven't really met many people in the commentary niche since changing. And if I did, yeah, it was just a different interaction.
That's interesting. So then about a month ago, you made another hard pivot away from the commentary.
Yes.
Which leads us to today.
Where do we begin? Moments like this, and this is again where we've started working really closely together again. And I was thinking about this morning, actually, as I was getting ready. I don't know. And this is also how I think maybe, because I've seen other channels every now and again, I see a channel who's looking to pivot and then they maybe pivot for a bit and then they end up going back. And I understand why they do that. Because it is one of the most, and again, this may sound dramatic, but I think a lot of people watching are probably creators, so they understand it. But it is one of the most isolating, hardest, loneliest, spirally feeling things that you will probably ever do if you decide to pivot in YouTube land, I personally think. And if you don't have anyone around you who's a creator, who's done it and who can talk you through it, or have you, I can't even imagine, truly. I can't imagine how much harder it would be. So much harder. Because now, I'm getting videos. And again, I'd be lying if I said it's completely fine. But, again, no creator wants to put out a video and it just consistently like 10 out of 10, 10 out of 10, 10 out of 10. I'm losing subscribers, which at the same time, this is what I wanted because I'm shifting. But doing this alone would be really hard, I think. I think it would be really hard because no one could really understand it or give you advice unless they've done it themselves or have been on YouTube long enough to experience a shift in their content.
Let's talk a little bit about that, working with a coach.
Yeah, it's funny. Every time you forget how lonely it is till you do it. If you do it more than once, which I don't really recommend. I mean, I don't know. Yeah, I think I refer to you as my Swiss Army knife because you are not only my YouTube coach at the moment, but you're also my life coach, my business coach. And it all kind of bleeds into one, I think. Because obviously you're a businesswoman yourself. It's been really good to have somebody there when I'm getting comments like, oh my gosh, I'm so disappointed in you. What are you doing? Who are you? I thought I respected you. And just the numbers, which is, again, what I wanted. They're tanking. The subscribers are leaving in that transition period of wondering, oh my gosh, how am I going to get out of it? Like, how am I going to see the other side of this? But having you there to talk me through it and remind me of what I'm doing and remind me that, yes, you've spent the last year building up viral videos of influencer commentary, it's going to take longer than just a month or two of you kind of experimenting to find your way and to build up. It's going to take a bit longer to build up. Having someone there is really valuable, like really valuable, I think.
Yeah, I do know that it's always helping you remember why you're doing this and what your purpose is and your goal and your mission, and putting that in the forefront. Because I think with YouTube, it can be very, like you said, there's a lot of noise and it's hard to separate the comments and what people are saying, even though, Kaylin, you're getting very positive comments.
No, I am. And that's the thing. It makes me so happy. And again, it reminds me, like, these are the people that I want around. And these are the people that in a dream world I could actually meet and have coffee with and hang out with. Yeah, like most of the people have been really lovely.
When you're feeling stuck or uncertain, what do I help you with specifically?
It's such a mental game, I think. It's maybe this is not just something people experience in a pivot, but if you do create videos, it's an extension of your life and it's an extension of who you are. And if you create about something that you care about, it's going to be important to you. So trying to find this sweet spot of going in a direction that I feel comfortable going in, and like my non-negotiables of things that, you know what, this doesn't feel good to me. You're helping me figure out what doesn't feel good to me, what does feel good to me, so that I don't end up in the same spot of, oh no, like this doesn't feel right, but I'm just going to keep pushing on. It's the building of something really intentional instead of just, oh, like we're just going to mess around and see what works and what goes viral. And then, you know, we'll go that way, because that's not sustainable. I personally don't think. It's seeing YouTube in a different way. I mean, you're obviously like a real support when I'm spiraling or feeling like, oh my gosh, what am I doing? This is really quite discouraging. That's been really helpful. And the pathway of building something intentional and the community element, I think, is more important than trying to reach a certain number, and having you there through that has been really good.
I do remember we did that exercise and I told you, Caitlin, think about the remember we did pros and cons list.
Oh yes, I love that.
I give you very specific homework assignments that it's like, we got to do a pros and cons list, because when you make this pivot, the views are not going to be there. It's an interesting thing, that feeling of you went for the commentary because you wanted the views or you wanted the subscribers. And that was super important to you at the time. For a lot of us, sometimes it's like, that's my goal. I want to do it at all costs. And you did it. You need to remember this feeling of why you're pivoting, because when you aren't getting those views anymore, you need to have this written down so that you don't revert back. Because I get this all the time. People hire me for pivots, and it is actually more rare that people can go all in on a pivot because they forgot what it feels like to get those lower views.
It's like, ugh.
Yeah.
And also I just feel the need to say, if you're anything like me, because I remember we talked about this, you literally said your views will tank. And I remember being like, I don't care. It's fine. Like I don't care, because it was so important. Like I was over it at that point. And that's why, again, the pros and cons list is so important, because you can tell yourself, and maybe you genuinely feel like that, because that's how I thought I felt. I was like, oh yeah, I don't care. It's fine. It doesn't.
Like, you don't care now. And I remember I said this, like, you don't care now.
But then when you experience
months from now and you're looking at your old numbers, I want you to remember how you're feeling in this moment. Remember, I was like, Kaylin, write it down. Like, and email it to me so I have it, so we can go back to it.
Yeah. Because you think you'll be okay with it. But just like anything in life, until it actually hits and you know you're in it, your brain will tell you a completely different story. But I don't want to go back to commentary.
No, I don't see you wanting to do it at all. How do you feel now that you're out of it, even though you're getting less views? I'm losing subscribers left and right.
I feel so much lighter and happier. And yeah, I just see the whole niche in a very different light. And I'm so, like, I'm actually grateful. I'm grateful that I only really was in it for 12 months.
Yeah, a year.
Because then I think, wow, like I let my spending have a really unhealthy toll and in my life. Imagine if I let this, like, these dark, heavy, negative, these videos and like talking about people, imagine if I let that eat at me for longer than a year.
Mm-hmm.
That would be horrible for me personally. Yeah.
And I think that's when you were in that pivot.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember saying, like, it's really important you dig into this, because I don't want, I mean, that's partly what I'm here for too, is to make sure you don't go back to commentary, right? It's like, Kaylin, remember, don't you remember?
I don't even think I could. I couldn't stomach it. I
Yeah.
don't think I couldn't stomach it. Now that I've had a break from it, I took time off. I took like 4 weeks off.
Yeah.
And then now that I'm experimenting and trying to find my way, yeah, I couldn't go back.
Yeah. How is working with me impacted your journey differently than if you had tried to figure it out on your own?
I feel like there's a lot of things I could say about that. I feel like I probably would have made more mistakes. I might have stayed in things longer. I might have not had the courage or the confidence to change. If it wasn't for you, I mean, we still have this debate. I'm like, I should just start a whole new channel. And having somewhat of an expert, not somewhat, you are an expert on YouTube, but having an expert to give you an expert opinion outside of yourself, because when you're so close to something, you can't really, see it from a bird's eye view the same way that somebody outside of yourself could, I don't think.
I do remember you sharing things with me and me putting it back at you and being, well, do you still want to make these videos? So the commentary, it's like, okay, it really sounds like you're not aligned with it anymore. And my approach always is you have to be aligned. Do you think it was like right when that 100K hit that you just lost? It's almost like you were deflated after that. You lost the momentum.
Mm-hmm. Well, at that point, I mean, before that, it wasn't a positive pull. Like I wasn't being pulled to create. I felt like I was like clawing. I was clawing. And I remember it was like 90K. And I genuinely considered leaving the platform, which is not a thought that I've had that often. Like I've thought about, oh, I'd love to, maybe take 2 weeks off and have a think about and just enjoy life a bit more and take time away from it. But I've never really had that thought of, I just want to disappear and I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to do it. But yeah, hanging on for that 10K, it wasn't like a nice feeling being pulled and moving nicely in that direction. It was like crawling through mud kind of feeling.
Do you regret doing any of that?
I don't regret the luxury videos, because then that led me to the shopping addiction realization and the realizations I had around that and the community I built around that. Do I regret the commentary? I don't like the word. I feel like regret's quite strong, but if I could go back, probably, like, hindsight again, isn't it? It's so easy to say. Whereas really, if I was back then, I would have been like, no, I just want to get to 100K. But I probably wouldn't have stayed in it as long as I did. And I would have really thought long term and bigger picture about, what do I really want to create? What do I really want to build here? The quick views, the sensationalized clickbait, the dark, heavy stuff? Or do I actually want to slowly build something that's actually going to mean something and is actually important?
Even at the cost of your silver play button. Like if today you were still at 50,000 subscribers.
I think knowing, again, maybe it's just delusional optimism, but I feel like if you put me back at a 50K, delusionally, I feel like I could build up to 100 in a way that would make me feel like, oh God, I just want to rip that open. Like, I'm not going to leave it downstairs for 4 months. You know what I mean? Like, genuinely happy. Like, I feel like now what I know, being super intentional and being really clear on what are you doing and honing in on that and coming from a good, healthy place, I think I could have got there. It just might have taken me longer.
Yeah.
But it probably would have felt better.
Yeah.
Also, I feel the need to say it. Like, I don't want to sound like I'm ungrateful for the play button. I don't want to sound like I'm ungrateful for the subscribers, because there has been a lot of wonderful people that have come along in the last year. I could have done it slower. And sometimes I think maybe slower is a bit better. It depends what you're trying to build. Do you want just 100K? Do you want AdSense? Do you want something bigger? Do you want something with, more substance to it, a bit more strength, a bit more of a foundation?
I mean, for you, ultimately, what you realize is it didn't align with what you were trying to build from a big picture. And I think that's why you are so attracted to YouTube and you don't leave YouTube, because you see it as a way to build a community. And you're drawn to helping people and making a positive impact and having that community. If you grow at that rate, but it's not in alignment with what you see doing long term or how you want to leverage YouTube, it's worth doing it slower so you do it more in alignment.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because then you end up where you're at right now, where you're like, I got the growth, I got the views, but I don't have the YouTube channel that I thought I was going to have, or the content. Right?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And I think for anybody who's maybe in that place of just wanting to get to 100K, it's so easy to say, it doesn't matter that much, but making sure that you are so aligned and so happy in what you're creating and where you're going. And if there is even just like a niggle of, like, don't ignore that. Do not ignore that.
Mm-hmm. Your intuition.
Yeah.
Wow. What keeps you creating?
I suppose, again, the biggest thing for me is I love creating. I love sharing my thoughts and challenging my own ideas, but it's the community element. I love being a part of the community. I love feeling like what I'm putting out there maybe help someone or make someone happy. I mean, I don't at all take it lightly that somebody takes time out of their day to watch a video of mine. Like, that means so much to me. That's why I keep doing it. I love to be connected in that way. And like I said, like, there are so many stories I can tell you that just make me so happy of people that I've met. It's just, yeah, beautiful, beautiful. Like, like Nordstrom one time in a shoes department, and this woman came up to me. She was like, oh my gosh, like, I watch your YouTube videos. And then she pulled her daughter up on FaceTime, and I was like, FaceTime her daughter. And she was like, I think it was her divorce, but she's like, I was watching you when I was going through my divorce, and like, you were the only like thing that I would watch that would make me laugh and make me like smile. And yeah, like little moments like that just make me just really like feel warm inside.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So Caitlin, it was nice talking to you.
You too.
Do you have any last thoughts on anything, on pivoting, on being on YouTube, on working with a coach, on commentary niche, anything at all you want to share?
I think if you can budget in, or if you can find a way, even just for a short period of time, to work with a coach, I think it's really beneficial, especially if you are as confused as I was, or as uncertain as I was navigating through something. I think it's really helpful. But yeah, I suppose if you want to reach out to me in my DMs or email, if you want someone to talk to about this, I think it can be a very isolating thing. I mean, I hope
that sounds good.
I can make, if anybody reaches out to me, I hope I can get back to all of any of them.
So Caitlin, if people are interested in checking out your channel, seeing what's going on there, where can they find you?
Just my name, Caitlin Pulowski, on YouTube, and yeah, on Instagram, but it's mainly just my dog and food over there.
Your dog. I love Flynn. He's been this supporting character the whole time. Right? So, all right, Caitlin, thank you so much.
Thank you so much. It was so nice to talk to you.
You too. Bye.